And outside the box reviews, Zombie Week continues, but we're not actually reviewing any zombies. Today we're looking at the Diamond Select, The Walking Dead Minimates Wave 4, and this is Hooded Michonne and Gabe. These are based on the comic Walking Dead, not the TV show, and these were in my box of dread for March. And as I promised in that review, I'm gonna just do a full review of these two and check out these Minimates. Now, I'm no stranger to Minimates. I've collected the Universal Horror ones, I've collected many of the Marvel ones, but I've never gone into the Walking Dead territory. So I'm very curious to take a closer look at these two and see how they stack up to the other Minimates I've gotten in the past. One thing I've been very happy with Minimates lately is that they've all seemed to come with these stands. I wish I would have had these with some of the Universal Monsters ones, and maybe there is a place you can just go buy packs of these. I'm not 100% sure, I haven't really looked. But these make it so much easier to display your Minimates. They have the one peg that goes into their foot. Pretty much universal. I can't really think of one that it doesn't work with. Maybe the Hulk, maybe his big feet don't accommodate the stand, but it's pretty useful. Very nice to have these. We get two of these, one for each figure. And we're going to start by looking at Gabe, just because he's the character I am least familiar with. According to the packaging, you use one of the governor's lieutenants, his second in command after another guy dies. I've read the comic. I've read well past this point in the comic. This is while they're in the prison, so pretty much what I believe they're about up to in the TV show. I actually haven't watched any of the most recent season. Shame on me. I've been waiting for it to come out on DVD instead of watching it live. But I really don't remember much of Gabe, so I'm just gonna have to go by what the back of the card says and be a little vague with him. But he does come with some cool accessories. Here he has a little rifle. It looks actually like an AK-47 or something. Nicely detailed with the black and the brown paint on it. The sculpt itself too, very nice. It's actually very well detailed for something so small. Did a really good job on this. I'm impressed. And of course, this is universal, so you can use it with any Minimate, which means I could have Frankenstein with an AK-47. I'm very intrigued by this idea now. Of course, since Minimates don't have trigger fingers or anything, you just stick it in the C-clip, and now he's got his gun. So he's ready to go shoot some zombies or some people, as it tends to be the case in The Walking Dead. Then over here on his side, he has a holster, which is really well detailed. You even see the little button on it. And then out of that, we could pull out a much smaller gun, a handgun. And wow, that is so hard to show off on here, but you can see how small it is, but it's very nicely detailed, just like the larger gun, but it is so tiny. I think I'm going to keep this in his holster just so that it's more secure. But of course, he holds that exactly the same way, it just fits right there in his hand, and looks pretty good. As for the figure itself, it's a Minimate, so it's about what we expect. We have a very generic, kind of short, blonde hair cut up here, little ears sculpted in. Of course, this is a removable piece. You can make him bald if you wanted to. Or you can mix and match with any other Minimates, which I think is one of the best things about this line. The face is kind of cool. He looks grumpy and a little bit chubby, which is definitely needed because we have a huge fat suit on the guy. Big gut on him. It's a unique piece. I haven't seen this before on Minimates. Of course, if you wanted, you could remove his head, and you could actually slide the fat suit off. Of course, there's no detail underneath, but seeing as he was in just a plain black shirt before, it's really not too much different. So you could put your character on a diet, or you could use him as just a generic Minimate. The fat suit's interesting though, because it definitely helps keep the small gun in the holster. It doesn't let it fall out as easily as I think it would otherwise. So it's actually kind of nice. He just has plain black arms and then black C-clip hands. There's a little square of flesh tone up there to kind of simulate that they're gloves, and there's a patch in the back. I'll leave the fat suit off for a minute. We could look at his belt. It's really nice, has a detailed buckle, little holes in it where the belt would plug in. Just sits around his waist. Once again, we could put this on other figures if we wanted. His blue pants with some copyright info on the back. I guess they should be jeans. You can see the fly is painted on there. And then we just have some brown standard Minimate shoes. For articulation, it's going to be the same on both figures, so I'll just do it now. We can rotate at the head. It's on a ball joint, so you can get a little up and down as well, hindered by his fat suit. Ball joint at the shoulders, you can go out to the side, you could go all the way around with them. We can hinge at the elbow, we could swivel at the wrist peg. We can rotate at the waist. Once again, here it's hindered by the fat suit. His ball jointed legs go forward, back, out to the side. You can bend at the knee, and then we can swivel at the foot. Next up, we have our Hooded Michonne, which of course is one of the fan favorite characters from the series, and I like that they kind of gave her this different look. I've already reviewed the McFarlane TV version of the figure, and that also kind of came with the cloak, so it's definitely an iconic part of the character. in both worlds. She, of course, comes with her trademark katana. It's just a silver piece of plastic here. There's some detailing on the handle, on the hilt, but it's pretty basic, pretty simple, but nicely done. As for Michonne herself, you can see she's in this grayish green kind of poncho. Not a whole lot of painted detail, a lot of sculpted, a lot of wrinkles in it, some little stitches up here. Goes over her head, you can see her hair with a headband on underneath. Pretty decently done. I really like the way they sculpted this, but this piece will actually come off. And then she has an extra hair accessory. So we peg that in, and now she has her hair and the headband without the hood on. So that's pretty cool that we can get kind of a normal Michonne out of this. Her face is fairly generic, not a lot going on. She's got some angry eyes, she got some lipstick, but there's really not a whole lot going on here. Not a lot of features on there to really make it Michonne. If you took the hair off, it could really be anybody. It's not very specific of a head sculpt. But then again, with Minimates you can only do so much. The hair is very nicely sculpted though. It has some great texture to it, a nice sheen to it. I really like that. One thing that's also weirded me out on female figures with these Minimates is sculpting large boobs onto a square body. It always comes off kind of awkward, but it's nicely painted on there. It's very well detailed. You can see the bone up there that's painted on very nicely. A lot of stretches in the clothing, the buttons, everything. So a lot of thought went into this. I guess it's supposed to be a tank top because she has bare arms. She has little green fingerless gloves, which look really nice. Her hot pink skirt with the kind of studded belt going around. A little sloppy on the paint on that, but it's so tiny. How could you even really hold it against it? No detail on the back of her shirt. She has black pants or leggings on. She has her mismatched colored socks, and then her boots start up here with the laces on the leg and then just have the standard little foot coming off the bottom. I much prefer them doing this than trying to create the actual boot piece that slides over the bottom, because it always ends up hindering articulation. It makes them harder to stand or pose. So overall, I think these two figures are decent. I am not going to start picking up this line. I just really have kind of cut back on Minimates in general. I really love the Universal Horror ones. I don't know if I think I've reviewed one set of them on here. I might have to pick those back up again and start reviewing them. But I really like their Universal Horror line. I really like their Marvel figures, even though I've cut back because there's just too many of them. But The Walking Dead, between the comic and the TV show series, it's almost daunting to start even thinking about collecting these things. And while this is probably a much better way to collect Walking Dead figures than the McFarlane ones, just because I think you get a little more with Diamond Select. You definitely get more articulation, even though they're all that boxy body. Sometimes the detail is actually better. I've said that a lot with my Iron Man figures. But I'm not going to get into this line, but I am going to recommend these ones. If you're a fan of the show or the comic, I know the show's not represented here, but they put the same quality into pretty much all their stuff. So I'm sure I could give a sweeping recommendation of the entire Minimate Walking Dead line and say that if you enjoy that, you'll probably enjoy the heck out of these guys. They're semi-cute, but still hard-edge enough to be adult collectibles. And the zombies in the line look fairly gruesome, and I kind of wish I would have gotten some of the zombies, especially doing this for Zombie Week, but they look pretty brutal. So let me know what you think. Do you collect any of these Walking Dead Minimates? How is the rest of the line? How do you feel they stack up overall? How do they rank up against the McFarlane stuff? Would you rather have these or those? Check me out on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also check me out on Facebook, link below. And until next time, got a little bit left in Zombie Week before it returns to the grave, so stay tuned. And holy cow, this is hard to show off. Where'd it go? I can't see it.